I blinked once. I am here for an interview, I said calmly. He laughed, short and sharp. Sure you are. Listen, sweetheart, this is not a charity. If you are lost, the temp agency is across town. A few people nearby turned their heads. A man by the elevator paused. A woman with a lanyard stopped mid-step. No one intervened. They just listened like this was weather. I kept my face neutral. Thank you for your time, I said. He leaned closer, voice lower, nastier. Try not to wander into executive hallways again. Some of us do real work. Then he walked past me without looking back. I stood there for half a breath, then continued toward the lobby like nothing had happened. My pulse was steady. My mind was already labeling him. Vice President energy. Too loud, too sure. The kind of man who believed titles were shields. Outside, the November air hit my face. I exhaled once, slow. I did not know his name yet, but I already knew the first thing I would do if I got the job. I would make sure he learned mine. 3 days passed. No email, no call. Silence that tried to feel final. On the fourth day, my phone rang at 7:06 a.m. Maya Harper? A crisp voice asked. Yes. This is Denise Park. Are you in a place where you can talk? I was in my kitchen, coffee brewing, calendar open, already expecting this exact call or its opposite. Yes, I said. The board voted last night, Denise said. We want you to take the role, Chief Executive Officer, effective immediately. A pause followed, as if she expected surprise. I appreciate the offer, I said. I accept. Good, Denise replied. We will send terms within the hour. You will come in today at 10. We will do introductions, legal, and a short internal announcement. There is one more thing. I waited. You should know you will face resistance, she said. Certain executives were invested in the previous structure. They like the old way. Then they will not like me, I said. Denise made a small sound that might have been approval. See you at 10, she said, and ended the call. I arrived at Lark Hill Meridian Partners at 9:42 a.m. Same boring outfit, upgraded with one detail. A thin silver pin on my lapel. Not flashy, just deliberate, like a period at the end of a sentence. In the lobby, the receptionist looked up, and her eyes widened. She stood so quickly her chair scooted back. Ms. Harper, she said, voice suddenly ceremonial. Welcome back. Thank you, I said. Please call me Maya. Lionel Cruz met me at the elevators. He looked nervous, like a man about to announce a storm. Maya, he said, smiling too wide. Congratulations. We are thrilled. Thrilled is a strong word, I said lightly. Let us aim for effective. He laughed, uncertain whether that was a joke. As we rode up, he began listing the schedule. Board chair remarks, legal onboarding, executive leadership introductions, short walk through the main floor, internal announcement at 11. I listened, nodded, stored it all. At the executive floor, the doors opened into the same hallway, the same corner, the same stretch of glass offices and quiet hierarchy. And there he was again. This time he was coming out of a conference room, surrounded by two managers holding laptops like shields. He saw me, and his face tightened with immediate annoyance, as if I were a recurring problem in his day. Oh no, he said loudly. Not you again. The managers stopped. One of them, a woman with a neat bun and tired eyes, looked like she wanted to vanish into the carpet. I kept walking, Lionel beside me. Lionel went pale. He knew. He knew exactly who I was now, and he knew exactly who this man was about to insult in public. You cannot be here, the vice president said, stepping into my path. You think because you wear a blazer you can wander into executive space? Lionel cleared his throat, but no words came out. The vice president turned his head slightly toward Lionel, as if addressing staff. Can someone escort her out? He said. We have enough distractions already. Behind him, office doors cracked open. Heads peeked out. A cluster of analysts near the elevator slowed, then stopped. The air shifted. Not just curiosity, anticipation. I offered my hand, the same gesture I had offered days before. Calm. Professional. A test. "Good morning," I said. "Maya Harper." He stared at my hand again, the same expression of contempt. "No," he said. "I told you. I do not shake hands with staff." The words landed like a dropped tray. Several people in the hallway froze. Someone inhaled sharply. A young analyst near the elevator actually covered her mouth. Lionel finally found his voice. "Grant," he said, strained. "Please, this is not the time." Grant, I thought. So that was his name. Grant Wexler. It fit. Grant glanced at Lionel, irritated. "I am in the middle of a client escalation, Lionel. Handle your visitor." "Visitor?" I repeated softly. I withdrew my hand and folded it calmly at my side. "Grant Wexler," I said, voice even. "Thank you for clarifying your standards." He scoffed. "My standards are the reason this place still has paying clients," he said. "Unlike whatever job you think you are auditioning for." The hallway had filled. People drifted closer without pretending anymore. They formed a loose circle, pretending to check phones, pretending to wait for the elevator, pretending to be anywhere else while watching everything. Then Denise Park appeared at the far end of the corridor, flanked by 2 board members and the general counsel. Denise walked toward us with the calm pace of someone who knew exactly what she was walking into and did not care. Grant did not notice at first. He was still performing. "This company is not a playground," he said, eyes on me. "Go back downstairs before you embarrass yourself." Denise stopped beside Lionel and looked at Grant. "Grant," she said, voice flat. "Step aside." Grant turned, annoyed, ready to correct her. "Denise," he began, "you picked a bad time to bring tourists up here." Denise did not blink. "This is Maya Harper," she said, "the new chief executive officer of Lark Hill Meridian Partners." The hallway went silent in a way that felt physical. A few employees actually stepped back, as if the air had shifted pressure. Grant stared at Denise, then he stared at me. His mouth opened, then closed. He tried to laugh, but the sound did not come out correctly. "That is not funny," he said. Denise tilted her head. "It is not a joke," she replied. "At 11, you will attend the all-hands where I announce it formally. For now, you will apologize for your behavior, and you will shake her hand." Grant looked at my hand like it was a trap. He did not move. Around us, people held their breath. I watched him with calm patience, because the sweetest revenge is letting someone realize they built their own cliff and sprinted off it. Grant Wexler stood in the hallway surrounded by witnesses, and for the first time his confidence looked like cheap paint in rain. He cleared his throat. "I did not realize," he said, words stiff. "Obviously." "Obviously," Denise replied. Grant glanced at me, then away, like looking at my eyes might force him to see me as human. "My apologies," he said. It sounded like a receipt, not remorse. Denise waited. "And?" she prompted. Grant shifted, jaw working. "And welcome," he added. His hand remained glued to his side. The refusal was subtle, but not subtle enough. I did not push him, not yet. I extended my hand again, steady as a metronome. "Grant," I said, warm enough to be professional. "I accept your apology." He stared at the hand. Around us, the employees watched like this was the final scene of a show they had all been trapped in for years. Finally, Grant lifted his hand and shook mine. His grip was quick, unwilling, like he expected the contact to stain him. "Thank you," I said, and released. Denise continued walking. Lionel exhaled like he had been holding air since Monday. The crowd dispersed slowly, people looking at each other as if to confirm what they had just seen was real. As I walked toward my new office, the woman with the neat bun caught my eye. She mouthed two words, "Thank you." I nodded once. That was the first real handshake of the day. Inside the executive suite, Lionel tried to speak. "Maya, I want to say, I mean, Grant can be intense, but he delivers results." I looked at Lionel. "Lionel," I said calmly, "a man who insults strangers in the hallway is not intense. He is unmanaged." Lionel swallowed. "Understood," he said. My office still smelled like the previous chief executive officer, aftershave and stale confidence. A box of personal items sat by the desk, already staged for removal. I placed my bag down, turned on the lamp, and opened the folder legal had prepared. First order of business, no theatrics, just structure. At 10:30, I asked Lionel to bring the executive leadership team to the large conference room. No delays, no excuses, full attendance. By 10:37, they filed in. Paul Dennett, CFO, eyes calculating. Meredith Sloan, General Counsel, composed, watchful. Tara Lynn, Head of Product, guarded. Grant Wexler, Vice President of Operations, posture rigid, face set in a practiced neutrality that did not match the panic still hiding in his eyes. I let them sit. I remained standing for one extra beat. Not to dominate, to establish gravity. "Good morning, everyone," I said. "I will keep this brief." I wrote 3 words on the whiteboard: respect, accountability, clarity. I turned back. "This morning, I had an interaction in the hallway that should never happen in a company that claims to sell trust," I said. Grant shifted in his chair. Tara looked down at her notes. Paul pretended to check a calendar invite. "I am not here to relitigate it," I continued. "I am here to set standards." I pointed at the first word. "Respect is not a mood, it is policy. Starting today, any employee who harasses, insults, or humiliates another employee, contractor, visitor, or candidate will be documented and disciplined. Title will not shield anyone. Performance will not excuse anyone." Grant opened his mouth. I held up a hand, gentle and final. "You will have time to speak," I said. I pointed at the second word. Accountability means ownership. Every system, model, dashboard, and client promise will have a named owner and a named backup. No more invisible work. No more hero culture. If something is critical, it is documented, staffed, and compensated. Tara looked up. Her eyes softened slightly, like she had waited years to hear that sentence. I pointed at the third word. Clarity means we do not hide behind polite language. If we are failing a client, we say it early. If a model is drifting, we address it early. If an executive is toxic, we address it early. Grant flinched, almost imperceptible. "Now," I said, "here is what will happen next. At 11, Denise will announce my appointment. After that, I will spend 2 weeks listening. I will meet every team. I will ask what is working and what is broken. I will ask where the truth gets stuck before it reaches leadership. And I will ask who people avoid because it is safer to stay quiet." Silence thickened. Then Meredith spoke, careful. "Maya," she said, "are you implying there will be personnel changes?" I smiled, polite. "I am implying there will be reality," I said. "Personnel changes are just one of the ways reality becomes visible." Grant leaned forward, forcing a thin smile. "I welcome the new era," he said. I looked at him calmly. "Then you will enjoy the new expectations," I replied. The meeting ended. They filed out quieter than they entered. As Grant reached the door, he turned slightly. "I misjudged you," he said softly, like a private concession. "No," I replied. "You revealed yourself. There is a difference." He left. At 11 o'clock, Denise stood in the auditorium and announced my name to the company. The applause was not polite, it was relieved. And somewhere in the crowd, I saw the same woman from the hallway clap with both hands like she was trying to erase years of silence. That was when I understood my revenge would not be loud. It would be sweet. And it would belong to everyone who had been treated like staff. The first week as chief executive officer felt like walking through a building that had been painted over without fixing the cracks. People smiled, but their shoulders stayed tense. They congratulated me, but their voices stayed cautious. They said welcome, but what they meant was, please do not leave. I started with small rooms, not big speeches. I met the support team first. Not because it was symbolic, but because support teams know the truth before executives notice the smoke. In a windowless conference room, 15 people sat with laptops open like shields. I introduced myself without flair. I am Maya, I said. I want to know what you need to do your work well. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then a man named Omar raised a hand slowly. Do you actually want the real answer? He asked. Yes. Omar exhaled. We need operations to stop dumping impossible deadlines on us and then blaming us when reality disagrees, he said. A woman named Priya added, voice tight. We need Grant to stop calling us lazy when we ask for documentation. Another woman, Jenna, spoke with careful calm. We need a process for client escalations that does not involve fear. I wrote it all down. Not as theater, as evidence. When I met engineering, they showed me the same pattern. Heroics replacing structure. Late nights replacing planning. Burnout treated like devotion. When I met client success, they told me which promises sales made that the platform could not keep. They told me which executives went silent when a client complained. They told me which people did the unglamorous fixes and got zero credit. And every time the same name appeared like a watermark. Grant. Grant chaired meetings and assigned work like orders. He demanded updates at 9 p.m. and called it commitment. He praised loyalty, meaning obedience. He used the word staff like it was a category beneath human. By Friday, I had enough patterns to stop calling them patterns. I called Grant into my office at 4:10 p.m. Not because I loved drama, but because I loved endings that were clean. He arrived on time, smile practiced. Maya, he said. How can I help? Sit, I replied. He sat. I slid a folder across my desk. No label, no threat, just paper. He opened it. Inside, written statements, time-stamped chat messages, meeting notes, a summary of the hallway incident, a summary of how many projects were delayed after his last-minute changes, a chart showing turnover in teams directly under his influence. His smile twitched. This is a lot of noise, he said carefully. People are emotional after leadership shifts. This is not emotion, I replied. This is data. Your favorite language. He tried a different tone. You know what this is, right? He asked. They are testing you. They are seeing if they can use you to punish me. If you let them, you will lose your executives. I leaned back slightly. Grant, I said, you called a chief executive officer candidate a charity case in a public hallway. You called her staff. Twice. With witnesses. Then you repeated it to my face after I was hired. That is not a test. That is a confession. His jaw tightened. I did not know, he said again. And that is part of the problem, I replied. You treat people badly until you learn they matter to you. He started to speak. I raised a hand. Here is what will happen, I said. You will step down from Vice President of Operations today. You will remain employed for 60 days in an advisory capacity with no direct reports. You will document your processes, transfer ownership cleanly, and attend coaching sessions with Lionel. If you comply, you leave with a neutral reference. If you do not, you leave faster. His face flushed. You cannot do this, he snapped. I built half the operational engine here. No, I replied. You managed it loudly. Other people built it quietly. He stood. This is revenge, he said, voice sharp. I smiled, small and calm. This is accountability, I said. Revenge would be letting you stay. He stared at me, breathing hard. Then he forced a laugh that sounded like it hurt. You will regret this, he said. I looked at the folder again, then back at him. Grant, I said softly. The only thing I regret is that nobody corrected you earlier. He left my office stiff and furious. 10 minutes later, Lionel sent the transition memo to the board. At 6:02, I walked through the main floor. People looked up. Some looked afraid to hope. I stopped near Jenna's desk, the woman with the neat bun. She did not ask questions. She just held my gaze. It is done, I said quietly. Her shoulders dropped, like she had been holding tension for years. Thank you, she whispered. I nodded. That was the sweet part. Not Grant falling, the people breathing again. Monday morning, Grant tried to make his exit a performance. He arrived early, suit sharp, voice louder than necessary in the hallway. He told anyone who would listen that he was transitioning by choice. He said he was focusing on strategic consulting. He said the company needed fresh energy. No one echoed him. People smiled politely and went back to work, which was the most devastating response he could have received. At 9:30, I held a company meeting, not in the auditorium, but on the main floor, standing where people actually worked. No stage, no spotlights, just fluorescent lights and truth. I kept it short. We are changing how we treat each other, I said. We are changing who gets credit. We are changing how decisions get made. If you have carried more than your title, I see you. If you have been dismissed because someone decided you were staff, I see you. A ripple moved through the room, a quiet shift from skepticism to something like relief. Then I did something that felt small but landed like a bell. Jenna Lynn, I said, will serve as interim head of operations. Effective today. Jenna's eyes widened. She looked around like she expected someone to correct me. Jenna has been running the real work for years, I continued. She has the trust of the teams, the respect of the people, and the competence this company needs. Applause broke out, not polite, not measured. Real. Jenna blinked hard, then nodded, jaw set like she was trying not to cry. Later that day, I met with Jenna, Omar, Priya, and Tara in my office. We built a simple plan: documented handoffs, clear escalation paths, and a new policy that required executive behavior reviews, the same way we reviewed models. At 3 p.m., an email hit my inbox from Grant. Subject: mischaracterization. The body was long and defensive. It blamed misunderstanding. It blamed tone. It blamed stress. It did not include a single sentence that started with "I was wrong." I forwarded it to Lionel and Meredith with one line: proceed with termination. At 4:12, Lionel walked into my office. Are you sure? He asked. Yes, I replied. I gave him a soft landing. He tried to set fire to it. Lionel nodded once. He left. Grant was gone by 5 o'clock. No dramatic escort, no shouting, just a badge deactivated and a box carried out by a man who finally looked small. 2 days later, the begging began. Not from Grant, from everyone who had hidden behind him. First Paul, CFO, voice tight. Maya, we are seeing delays, he said. I did not realize how many approvals Grant handled. He did not handle approvals, I replied. He controlled them. There is a difference. Jenna will rebuild the process. Then a sales director. We cannot find the escalation templates, she said. Clients are asking for updates. Priya has them, I replied. Ask her. And thank her. Then Lionel, eyes wide. We did not realize Grant was the default contact for facility scheduling, he said. He was not, I replied. Omar was. Grant just took the credit. It happened again and again. The company was discovering what had been true all along. One person had not been holding them together. A whole network of quiet people had. And the only reason it looked like one man was essential was because he made everyone else feel optional. By Friday, the floor felt lighter. Meetings ended on time. People asked questions without bracing for punishment. Jenna ran operations meetings with calm clarity, and the room listened because she spoke like someone who actually knew the work. In the hallway where Grant had insulted me twice, someone put up a small printed sign near the elevators. No logo. No branding. Respect is not optional. I did not ask who did it. I did not take it down. That afternoon, Denise Park called me. "How does it feel?" she asked. "To be CEO?" I replied. "To be right," Denise said. I looked through the glass at the main floor, where Omar was helping a new analyst understand a workflow without fear in his voice. "It feels quiet," I said. "In a good way." Denise exhaled, like she had been holding tension too. "Good," she said. "Keep it that way." After I hung up, Jenna knocked on my door. "Maya," she said, "I just wanted to tell you something." "Yes?" When Grant said he did not shake hands with staff, she said, "I believed him." Not because it was true, but because he said it so many times it started to feel like law. Today, someone from the executive team shook my hand and asked what I needed. I almost did not know how to answer. I stood and extended my hand to her. "Start with this," I said. "You deserve to be greeted like you belong here." Jenna shook my hand firmly, eyes bright. "Thank you," she said. I smiled. "That is the point," I replied. "We are done letting the wrong people decide who belongs." And in that moment, the revenge landed exactly how I wanted. Not bitter, not loud, sweet enough to last.